So the reality is this: one of the most important principles of money management is that spend what you can afford. Period. Live within your means, right? If you're spending money on things that don't change your life, things that don't make you money, you're wasting your money. Spend on things that are essential to you. Spend on things that will help you and your family. But you should invest your money or spend your money that will give a return to you, your life.
We have with us Mr. Micheal Arthur. He's a real estate agent and an investor here in the nation's capital. He's going to be telling us all about the real estate business and the investment business here. Mr. Micheal Arthur, good afternoon and welcome to Vincy Internet Radio.
Good afternoon, Cippy. How are you, sir? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you and your family as well.
Yes, same to you, sir. Thank you.
Just going to give us a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll be passing you over to the host. The host of this afternoon is Mr. Moulton Sayers.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, world. Happy New Year to you and your family. My name is Micheal Arthur. I've been in real estate for over 8 years. I started in real estate as a real estate investor, where I renovated my basement into a bachelor suite apartment, and I rented it out when I was single at the time, and I lived upstairs in a townhouse, and the rest is history. And I've been helping my clients invest in real estate for about that time, and then I became a realtor shortly after my real estate investment journey, where a lot of people were complaining that, especially real estate investors, that there's not enough realtors out there who understand what real estate investment is all about. So I took it upon myself, using my expertise and my experience as a real estate investor, to become a realtor, to help people analyze their properties, find properties that have the highest and best use, properties that have positive cash flow, and properties that will provide them a lot of wealth to support themselves and their family. And then ever since then, everything's been great. And I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to help people to use real estate to build and secure their wealth, as well as to build generational wealth for their future families and so forth, as well as to provide them financial independence, freedom, and security, so that they have the future that they are looking for to support their lifestyle.
All right, thanks, Sip. Just want to give a shout out to our Facebook audience or radio listeners all over the world. And I just want to give a special welcome to a very special guest, Mr. Micheal Arthur. Micheal, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, just want to also thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate and inform us, about all these new ventures, or I should say, grounds that we normally don't tread on. So, again, I just want to say thanks again.
All right, no problem. Anytime.
Yeah, Micheal, if I want to say, just take us back to your humble beginnings, where before real estate, we're going to get into the real estate after, but we just want to have a little idea of your background,
Okay.
where you're from, where your cultural background, culturally and stuff like that.
Sure, no problem. I'm a son of immigrant parents who were born in Ghana, West Africa, and they immigrated to Canada, particularly Toronto, in the early 1970s. And I'm their first child of 4 boys in the family. And they taught me the importance of having a good, solid education as a foundation to be successful in life, right? Because where they came from humble beginnings as well. But what they were taught by their own parents was the importance of having that education, to have the knowledge to create opportunities for themselves and to support their future family. And I follow that philosophy with myself, as right now I'm married, and I'm a father, recent father of a 5-month-old son. And Before real estate, I got my degrees. I was born in Toronto, and I got my degrees in a bachelor's in public administration from the University of Windsor. And then after that, I was encouraged to go to graduate school by one of my mentors, a professor of mine, who told me to go to graduate school, and he wrote me a letter of recommendation to attend Carleton University, where I obtained a master's degree in public policy and administration. And then from there, that program involved understanding how to develop or create government policy and how to administer government programs and services and stuff like that. So from there, I started to work in the government, and I've been doing that for a long time. And then from there, I mentioned real estate was a friend of mine was renting out his basement in his own house, and he said he was making money, and some of his friends were doing the same thing. And then I said to myself, you know what? I'm a single guy. You know, I have a basement that has walkout doors. Might as well create a basement apartment to help somebody who's looking for affordable housing, which is still an issue in Ottawa, by the way. Looking for affordable rental housing is a very big issue. So I took that upon myself to, you know, provide that opportunity for somebody who's looking for affordable housing, rental housing, that is. And then from there, at the same time, while I'm helping somebody look for accommodation, which is shelter, which is a basic human need, I said at the same time, I'm making money from that to help me pay down my mortgage, my bills, my housing bills, and stuff like that. And then from there, the rest is history.
This is history. So, so you're pretty much saying it's from there you pretty much bridge the gap for to see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel if you do real estate investing.
Yeah, real estate investing is a great opportunity to have or to create opportunities to have the lifestyle that you're looking for. Yeah, not only to make money, but you can use real estate to pay down your bills. You can use real estate to pay your debt. You can use real estate to lend money to people to invest in real estate as well, or to lend money to somebody to help them buy their first house. Real estate provides endless opportunities. Even you can use real estate to invest in your children's education. You know, when they want to go to college or something like that, right? And as well, you can use real estate to leave a legacy for your future, for your kids and their future kids and future family and so forth. Even to establish a business as well. Yeah. Right,
because I read where you said that you can't actually lose in investing in real estate. In fact, the market is there you to win. So
yeah.
If okay, go ahead.
No, okay, no problem. So just to add to your point, the way real estate, the way the system works allows you to make you to win as long as you follow what the rules are of the game, okay, of the system. What makes real estate attractive and makes it a popular wealth building strategy is that real estate in general, shelter is a basic human need, right? Everybody needs a place to live, right?
Right.
So if you wanted to help somebody to find a place to live, why don't you invest in real estate to provide that opportunity not only for that person, but for yourself to make money from that, to support yourself and your family, right? So it's a win-win for everybody at the end of the day, right? So that's what makes real estate very attractive and very beneficial for those who are looking to build long-term wealth. You can't make real estate, it's not a quick, rich scheme. It's a long-term process you have to go through. And you need to understand what the rules are. For example, if you want to make money in real estate, you have to buy properties and hold them for a long period of time to reap the rewards, right? That's how real estate works.
Right. So later on, you're gonna touch a little bit on the rules for those real estate. But I want to get to the beginning of it, because you also said that you were the guy who worked multiple jobs and believed in spending less and earning and saving more and things like that. So my question, many people will argue that they could afford to meet their monthly mortgage payment if they get the opportunity to buy a house. But the problem is the down payment. What you have to say to them? Because you also said before you answer, you also said that it doesn't require much to
Right.
start investing?
Okay, so it depends on somebody's financial situation. There's a way. There's a couple of ways you can have the affordability to buying a house and affordability to pay the mortgage. There's two strategies that you can use. Okay, one's called a vendor take back mortgage, whereby you go to a motivated seller who wants to sell their house. Right, you don't have the money. Right, but the seller can lend you the money as a loan, okay, as a down payment for you to buy the house, and at the same time you get support from the bank to help you finance the property. But you have to pay that seller back their money plus interest, right? That money that you're going to be using to pay back the interest, okay, is secured against the house. Once that's paid off, you take ownership of that house, and the seller walks away and goes and moves elsewhere, right? At the same time, the interest that you pay on that loan to the seller is tax deductible, in which you reduce your taxes, okay? So that's one strategy. If you have no money at all, if you have no money, that's just it. Another strategy is that even if you have a little bit of money, just like, let's say, $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 or $12,000, just say hypothetically, okay? There's a strategy called lease to own or rent to own. A lot of people hear rent to own is a bad thing, but it depends which program you are dealing with. The program that I deal with helps people to get to buy a house sooner rather than later using a little down payment. Even if you're going through a bankruptcy, a divorce, a death in the family, you have significant debt or credit card bills, rent to own is an option where you work with a mortgage specialist who deals with people who have a lot of high debts or have financial issues, and they will develop a plan in which it allows you to pay down your bills. At the same time, you have the opportunity to rent a house, and at the same time have the option of buying a house. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another option you can do too is that if you don't have money, you can use your RRSPs. This is especially geared toward first-time home buyers, okay? Where the government has a program called the First-Time Home Buyers Program, where you can use up to $35,000 of your own RRSPs as a down payment to buy a house. That's how I started in real estate. That's how I bought my first house, right? Mm-hmm. However, you have to pay that money back that you took out of your RRSP back into your RRSP. Otherwise, it's going to be a taxable income, in which you have to pay tax on it to the government.
So some would argue again that, like you said, the rent to own option is also like, and you said there are disadvantages and advantages in it.
Right.
Because argue that when you do that, you just don't have the power to do whatever with your property. How does that work with when you rent to own the property? Do you have like control over, let's say, renovations or thing, and who pays the taxes during that time?
Yeah. So this is where you have to come. There's an agreement between you and the owner of the property, who eventually is going to sell you the property to own it after you rent it. There's an agreement in place where there's clauses in there that says that, okay, if the tenant wants to make renovations to the property, they have to get permission from the landlord or the owner of the property to make those changes, right? The landlord will go for that as long as the tenant is willing to pay for it. That's the key thing. That's just an example, right? If the tenant is at their expense, if the landlord allows it, it's good. But that's an example of what they can do to the property. Yeah. And when you renovate a property in general, it'll go up in value because you're making improvements to the property to make it more attractive, make it more livable, warm, and cozy in that property.
Mm-hmm. And do you also have a process where if you buy an investment property, you can buy it as groups or like a multiple individuals?
Yes, there's a concept or a system called joint ventures. A joint venture is where you have multiple people. Okay, you have multiple people who contribute equally their own resources or money into the property in buying a property. So they pool the resources together and they use that as a down payment to buy a property. The profits from the rental of that property is divided equally amongst those people who originally or initially invested the money into the property. Yeah.
Okay, so the joint venture, it has to be equally, or it can be like
it could be 50-50. Okay, let's say you have two people. It could be 50-50. If you have three people, it could be 33.3 each person, right? It depends on the arrangement. You have to go, each person needs to have their own lawyer to represent them to make sure that their interests are protected. That's the important thing.
Okay, so it can't be 60-20-20.
It can be. It depends who's going to do the work. If one person is going to do the property management, the screening of the tenants, collecting the money, dealing with issues with the tenant, all that stuff, it's between those parties to agree that, okay, I get 60%, while you guys are not doing anything, you guys get 40% or 20%. It depends on the arrangement of the individual. Yeah, it's discretionary amongst the individuals. Yeah,
it's just much easier working 50-50.
Exactly.
Yeah. You also mentioned that when you get a property, like especially in Ottawa, the real estate market is really booming. Before I ask a question, let me, since we were on that topic, individuals and in Ottawa in general, not Ottawa, I know in Canada in general, it's here for, let's say, someone from our community to just walk in and they can buy a car. Doesn't matter how expensive the car is. You don't necessarily need the expensive car, but they give it to you easily anyways. Why do you think that a mortgage, and I know it's common sense is a lot more money, but if you walk in for a mortgage, like you said, you have to live, you have to sleep, and they know you have to live. You're working, you know, and it's just so difficult if you walk in to get a mortgage. It's easier to buy a car that you don't even need, and than getting a mortgage here.
Okay, so the reality is this, and this is my philosophy that I've used, learning from my parents and other people and stuff like that. The people, for our community to understand about how to manage money, one of the most important principles of money management is that spend what you can afford. Period. Spend what you can afford. Live within your means, right? If you're spending money on things that don't change your life, things that don't make you money, you're wasting your money. True, right? True. Spend on things that are essential to you. Spend on things that will help you and your family, right? If you're spending money going out to restaurants and stuff like that, like every week, you're wasting your money. You could go once a month, that's fine. I'm not saying don't go to restaurants, but you should invest your money or spend your money that will give a return to you, your life, that will help you achieve your goals in life, right? To take you where you want to be, right? Not where you currently are. That's the important thing about money, especially with real estate. Spend within what you can afford. If you can't afford it, save more money. Or look, like for my first-time home buyer clients, that's why I tell them, if you cannot afford what the bank is giving you, if you can't afford it, instead of buying at at that particular price, look for a lower price property. But you have to give up some things that you don't like.
True.
That you want. You have to give up something that you want, but it's best, I recommend to them all the time, it's best to enter the housing market now where you pay less than waiting, thinking that the market will go down, but you'll be paying more, or possibly you can't even afford it anymore.
Right.
Right.
Right. And I think that leads me to my next question that I was going to ask you, because during the pandemic, like we all saw like the hike in housing sales especially in the Ottawa region. I think, if I'm right, in Canada in general. And I, for one, I was like, okay, it's gonna come back down because a lot of people are gonna lose their jobs. A lot of people, explain to us like what did we miss, or what how does that work with the prices of the house right now and in comparing to before?
You see, what drives housing prices is it's like I have a formula. Okay, this is what it is. I'll explain. I'll state the formula. High demand for housing plus low supply of houses for sale equals higher housing prices. So think of basic economics, right? If there's a lot of demand for a product or service, but the product and service is limited in terms of supply, the price is going to increase. Because if people are are in demand, they want that product, that service, but they can't get it, right? But to get it, they're willing to pay a higher price to get it because it's a need, it's a want for them, right? And with the supply chain crisis, that's what's happening right now, where there's not enough supplies coming into Canada from overseas because of the supply chain issue, COVID, and what's happening right now is inflation. That's what's happening, right? And you see in your grocery bill, fruits and vegetables are getting high in prices. If you go to restaurants, there's increases in food prices there too, right? And services, there's an increase in prices because during COVID, even the beginning of COVID, businesses were losing money, and they're still losing money. Even the fact that they're getting government support, they're still losing money. But for them to recover the losses that they incurred, they have to charge a higher price to get that money back. Otherwise, they're going to close shop and close their business and move out. That's what they're doing, unfortunately.
Right. And let me ask you about this, because do you think it's more outside investors are coming in, or it's just local people who are or it's just a matter of people immigrating to Ottawa?
It's a mixture of things. It's a mixture of factors. In terms of housing prices, Ottawa compared to other Canadian cities is competitively cheaper.
Right.
In comparison, compared to like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, all the major other urban centers, a lot of them are coming to Ottawa because it's priced competitively. Even there's foreign buyers coming in and foreign investors bringing their money in, because Canada in general is a safe place to invest your money. It's safe to invest your money. So that's why you see a lot of demand for housing in Ottawa, but there's not enough houses available for sale to purchase. That's the problem.
And if I have to, before I pass you on to Cippy, if I have to be the devil's advocate here, I see like booming construction in real estate. Buildings are going up, houses are going up.
Right.
But yet they're all sold out within, I think the average time is about 20 to 25 days.
Yeah, right. Because those who have houses, right? Think of it this way. Those who have houses and sold them, like people from Toronto or people who, because you have to understand, the Ottawa's market is still a seller's market, okay? A lot of sellers made a lot of money from the sale of their house because of bidding wars and all that stuff. The extra money that they made off the sale of their houses, they're using that money to buy those buildings, to buy houses at those prices, right? Those new home developments, they have the money, right, from the sale, or they had inheritance from their parents, stuff like that. So they use that to their advantage, because right now Canada has an aging population where a lot of people are in retirement homes. Unfortunately, they're dying, and then they leave a huge bunch of money or wealth to pass along to their kids and to their grandkids, who use that to buy real estate.
I want to start off by asking you a question that you touched on a little bit. I just want a little bit more expansion on it.
Okay.
Now, I have a home. I put it up for sale.
Right.
It's taking a long time to get sell. Not too many investors.
Right.
An investor come, whether you or say a real estate agent, and they come and say, well, okay, this property worth $280,000, but we're gonna start at $277, and then we're gonna pay you interest. How does that value in to the final price of the house? How does that value into the final price of the house?
Okay. So in general, in real estate, when it comes to the final sale price of the house, it's the buyer that determines the price of the house. It's based on the number of offers you as a seller receives on the property, right? The investor or the buyer coming in, they have this expectation. anytime a buyer comes in to seize the house, especially if it's been on the market for a long time, they want it at a lower price because they say that either there's problems with the property or the price is it's overpriced. And as well, the house has been on the market for a long time. So they want to get value for it. So they'd be saying, instead of me paying 280, I'll pay 275, or I'll pay even much less, 250, right? But you have a price in mind, right? At the end of the day. So it involves a negotiation tactic whereby you have to come up with a strategy where both parties will agree to a particular price that they want.
And from your experience, who basically wins out in this situation?
Sorry, I had a phone call. My apologies.
Yeah.
Okay, so who wins? I don't see like who's the winner. It depends on the type of market. At the end of the day, if the seller gets the a property at a particular price that they want, they win at the end of the day. But you have to look at it from the buyer's perspective too. They're looking for houses. They like the property. They want to live in that property, or they want to invest in that property and rent it out. It depends on the goals and objectives of both the buyer and the seller.
Now, if you go to value a property for someone, what drive the price? Is the condition of the house, the deterioration? What's drive the price?
Okay. What drives the price is obviously the market, the housing market in that neighborhood, particularly. Yes, the condition of the house. Also is the comparables of similar properties in the neighborhood that were sold that determines the price as well, right? And it's what also factors in is the motivation and the objective and goals of the seller as well, because the seller has their own price in mind. Right? That's the important thing.
Because I was just looking at some information, and there's certain parts of Ottawa where I find that the prices of houses almost $1 million.
Yeah.
At the old areas of the city. So I'm saying, since this is the old area of the city, what is driving that price for that kind of money when a newer area is lower?
Okay. What drives price? One of the factors that drives prices is, of course, demand. So if a particular house went on, the market, right, and there's less houses available there's less houses available in that neighborhood. Okay, what's going to happen is that the seller's going to lower the price to create interest, right? And they will have a particular date in mind to accept offers from buyers. If there's a lot of interest based on the price being lowered, what's going to happen is that there's going to be multiple offers on that property, which will drive the price up, right? Based on that, when that's how the final sale of that price is high, the next seller in that neighborhood will say, oh, this house sold for this amount. Okay, I want to sell it at that price or even higher because I'm getting a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest in the neighborhood. So why don't I put my house on the market where I'm expected to get multiple offers and get it at a higher price that I'm looking for, right? And it depends also on the neighborhood. Some neighborhoods are lower price. It's based on population, okay, economics, and the condition of that neighborhood, right? For example, Vanier has a reputation of high crime. The house condition of the houses is pretty poor, so that's why you have a lower, and there's less demand for that particular area. But that's why you see prices are being low. It depends on the neighborhood. It's not based on the market as a whole. It depends on the neighborhood. It depends on where are buyers buying in which particular neighborhood. That's what counts.
So basically, it says in the glebe that I find the houses in the glebe are selling for a very high price than average houses, and we know that's at the old area of the city. So as you say, now I'm getting a good education and the situation of how prices are. I think this is a very good interview. We have to bring you back. I'm not going to leave you like that because this is a lot of information that you're giving us. I don't think we can comprehend all this, but in the meantime, we have to bring you back. And glad you accept this invitation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity again. I'm committed to coming back and talking to you guys again about real estate, to help the community, to educate our community, to make better decisions about buying real estate and selling it.
All right, thanks again, Sip. In case you just joined us, we're talking to Micheal B. Arthur, and he's also with Avenue North Realty. Micheal, you have a care process that you use. Would you care to elaborate on the care process for us?
Okay, so I have an acronym that I use called CARE, and that's the foundation of my personal philosophy as well as my business. CARE stands for customer service, analysis, relationships, and education. I'll break it down. I'll explain each one, what it means. Customer service, the way I approach that is that I focus on what the customer wants and needs above my own interest, right? So what I do is I sit down, get to know them, know about their family, know about their personal situation, and knowing what their goals are and what they want to, and giving them some advice about how to achieve their goals, right? So I get to know the person first before I talk about real estate. That's the important thing, right? Analysis is where I do a lot of in-depth market analysis about the Ottawa market. I don't know if you've been seeing on my business page that I do monthly market updates where I give market updates about the Ottawa market. Where are the buyer trends? Where are the seller trends? Where are the prices? All that stuff. I use that analysis to help my clients make a well-informed decision, as well as providing them with helpful advice and guidance. Relationships, which is related to customer service. It's important to have a positive, open and honest relationship with somebody that you're working with, right? To help them get what they want. You need to have open communication with them. You have to listen in terms of what they're looking for. You have to give them helpful advice that helps them solve their problem. In other words, you want to reduce their pain and increase their pleasure to get what they want. Now, E stands for education, which is basically the foundation, the real foundation of my business. Because a lot of people, especially from our community, unfortunately, don't have the knowledge and education about buying a home or buying real estate or investing in real estate or selling real estate and so forth. Education is important because without it, you're going to make mistakes. I've seen people, unfortunately, who made bad real estate decisions, whether it's investing or regular buying or selling, where they lost money. It resulted in them having emotional issues, depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety. It resulted in broken relationships, divorce, separation, all that stuff, because of the fact that they either got wrong advice from a bad realtor who was only out there just to motivate, just to get a commission, or they didn't get sufficient education on their own, or from a trusted advisor or a coach or a real estate agent who knows what the market's all about, who knows the process. That's the key. So that's what CARE is all about, where I use that to emphasize the fact that I'm client focused. I'm a sort of like an advisor, a coach, a mentor, an educator, all in one.
I'm glad that we have someone like you in our community. The only unfortunate thing is sometimes our community can't get in contact with you, so like program like this here, that's why I'm really a part of it, because to educate our community, not only our community, other people, but especially our community. We really lack a lot of knowledge when it comes to real estate. We just sit back and watch each other, and you also said it on one of your blog that what we need is more education and things like that to really see what's really happening, because we're unfortunately, again, our community, we're really paying a lot of real estate expenses to other people, as opposed to owning our own things. And I'm glad you're one who went through the process from because you were very educated man. You could have been anything, and you went through the process from being a real estate investor to now helping us in getting onto it. You also explain in your blog that the government has introduced a new, you call it a stress.
Mortgage stress test. Yes. Yes.
Can you elaborate on that for us?
Okay, so the mortgage stress test is where the government, when it comes to qualifying or getting pre-approved for a mortgage or approved for mortgage, what they did was they made the criteria for qualifying for the mortgage much stricter than before, because they saw that people, especially first-time home buyers, were buying real estate or buying a house at a higher price, close to what they can't even afford. They're trying to become house poor. So when they saw the market becoming hot, right, where you see a lot of people buying properties because of low interest rates, mortgage rates, a lot of people are buying investment property or real estate property or for as a home. It was getting out of hand, and they realized that the debt, household debt, from the only like real estate investors or to first-time home buyers or buyers in general, it's in the trillions, closer to the trillions or billions of dollars, and it's going to get out. The government realizes it's getting out of hand. So what we need to do is we have to make the mortgage qualification rules much stricter, whereby when you're assessed for a mortgage, when you're going to be evaluated for a mortgage, it used to be somewhere around 2 or 3%, right? They evaluate you, but they increase it to 5% because they want to make sure that you have the ability to afford it. Okay, so what they did is that they increased the qualification rate to a higher percentage, whereby the person will get less financing, in which they will be able to afford to buying a house at a lower price compared to buying it at a higher price, in which they may have the potential of filing for foreclosure or power of sale, or they might lose the house.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, but I understand that they're trying to protect so that we don't become another Vancouver, maybe, and things like that. But don't you feel, or aren't they really pressuring like the low-income person who is really trying to buy a house?
I think that's a disadvantage, especially for low-income people. For having that stress test, it's making it difficult for low-income people to buy a house, because they don't have sufficient income in their hands to have the ability to pay the mortgage when they buy a house. That's the downside of it. So that's where the government needs to, for example, create incentive programs to encourage not only people to buy houses, but encourage builders to build affordable housing, so that low-income people have the financial means to buy their first home or to buy a home for themselves and their families.
Right, or if not, I guess low-income people will have to resort to pretty much doing the what do you call it? What kind of investing you call it? Where multiple people are investing.
Where multiple people are investing.
Yeah, you call it multiple family investors.
Oh, no, it's multifamily. It's multifamily properties. So these are like apartment buildings, duplexes, triplexes, like 3 units, 4 units. That's where like investors like myself will invest in that and then rent it out, those units, individual units in that building, to a low-income person, where they pay market rent.
Okay, because what I was trying to say is that yeah, like we touched it earlier. I don't recall the exact term you used, where let's say 3 people of equal shares would buy the property.
Joint ventures.
Joint
sorry,
venture. Right.
sorry about that.
Yeah, as I was saying that will result us to more doing joint ventures, I guess, because people with low income just really might not be able to afford it. The qualification.
Pretty much so. Yeah.
Right, because you like, and also for the purpose of our listeners who can't, let's say you can't get qualified for a mortgage on your own, it's also okay to do the joint venture.
Yeah. A lot of people actually, sorry to interrupt you, but a lot of people, what they're doing right now is that they're pooling their money together. Okay, low-income people, a lot of them are pooling their money together. It's called cohabitation. Okay, where people are pulling their money together to buy a big house, and then each person contributes their own fair share, okay, as a down payment to buying the house, and they live together as roommates. That's one strategy I've seen and heard of. It's called cohabitation. Yeah.
Okay. And one question to that is, do they all have to be qualified for the mortgage, or you just need one or two person from that?
I think all five of them jointly together have to qualify for the mortgage. I think that's something you have to talk to a mortgage professional about. I'm not familiar with the mortgage rules related to that, to be honest with you. But I think in general, everybody will be on the mortgage regardless, right? So based on the individual incomes, to combine, I'm sure they'll have to go through a qualification process for sure. Right.
And what are some of the other services that you offer in the real estate industry? I know you can help get buying homes and stuff like that, but rental and
sure. So I do rentals. I do of course real estate investment properties. I work with first-time home buyers. I deal with condos. Also, I do consultation, and as well I have learning tools to help first-time investors learn about how to find investment properties and how to analyze investment properties that will give them positive cash flow for them to make money. So that's why I do that as well. I'm on podcasts. I've been invited to do presentations to real estate investment clubs, stuff like that. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And of course you're involved in the process with them from start to finish, and I'm pretty sure your services are still observed during the time they're still living there as well.
Yeah, because I provide also after client care support after they purchase their house. I follow up with them to see how they're doing, if they have any questions, if they need my assistance, or if they need assistance through my network of professionals, whether it's a mortgage broker, an accountant, a plumber, interior designer. I have a network of people that experienced people I can support them with. Yeah.
All right. So what advice, before Sip jumps in again, what advice you have for people who, let's say they're new immigrant or just migrated to Ottawa and they don't really have a lot of resources? They have jobs, and their credit is okay, but they don't really have a lot of resources in terms of finding a place and getting money. What advice do you give to people like that, new immigrants or just come to Ottawa?
Well, I mean, if they're looking, if someone's new to Canada and they don't understand the home buyer process, they can come and talk to me, and I can connect them with people. Like there's community groups, there's immigrant organizations. Also, I can connect them with organizations that provide low how you call it, not low income, but they provide affordable housing, stuff like that. I can direct them to that process. That's not a problem. But it's important for people that for new immigrants to talk to reputable professionals that who know how the system works. That's the key thing. Government organizations is fine to an extent, but there's some good government organizations. But I think what's important for them is the key thing is that they should connect with a community group that is associated with the country they're from. That's the important thing, right? If you have someone from the St. Lucian community, okay? If there's a St. Lucian community group, and I know there's an organization, I think there's some St. Lucian community group, or from St. Vincent and Grenadines. If they should talk to those people, be associated that those associations, those community groups, and those community organizers or those the leaders of those organizations can direct them to people like myself, other mortgage professionals from the Black community or Brown community who can assist them.
Right. So before I just want to add that, that's the problem sometimes generally with us, our community again. We do not go to get a lot of consultation, professional consultation. We always believe that things flow from word of mouth. Yes, word of mouth is still a good method but you still need that professional consultation. And I don't know if it's a pride thing or what, but those are the things we need to reach out to people like you, Micheal.
Yeah, like what I do is anybody, if I get a referral or if I came in contact with someone online, I sit down and have a buyer consultation or a seller consultation using Zoom, like what I'm doing right now, just to sit down with them, get to know them on the personal level, get to know about their family, their occupation, what they like to do, and then eventually we talk about real estate and then go from there.
Micheal, I
Yes,
want
sir.
to buy a house or I want to invest in something. Then you hear that the interest rate is going up. What
Right.
drive interest rate up? In not so much of a crisis, but what is the real reason for the interest rate to go up?
What I know from reading and talking to people is the bond market. The bond market is where the government sells bonds to people to help the government pay down debt. Okay, so when the bond market is performing well, the value of the bonds that the government sells to people, if it goes up, then the government will increase the interest rates. That's what drives it, is the bond market. It's the bond market.
Is that something they use to like say if to stop the market being glutted with people first time buyers who might buy a house at a very cheap price or very expensive price and can't pay it back? So instead of having all those gaps in between, I think is they use that sometimes just to stop that market.
Yeah, yeah. If they realize that, they also look at housing prices in all the major cities in Canada. They look at housing prices to see uh, um, how affordable people can buy a house. Even, for example, the Royal Bank of Canada, they do a monthly update on the housing affordability index, which basically provides information about the cost of housing in Canada overall. And they break it down by the major urban centers such as Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and stuff like that, right? And they'll give recommendations and advice to people in terms of, the cost of living and stuff like that. That's what the World Bank does. And government does their own research as well. They use Stats Canada as well to get stats and go from there and make a decision.
Let's touch a little bit on investment.
Okay.
Investment, give us a little idea when I say investment or I want to invest. What would be your advice for somebody who's trying to invest for the first time?
Okay. One of my important principles of investing is that you always focus on the numbers and remove your emotions. It's difficult to do. What I'm saying is that when you see a property and it looks nice, some people like to use their emotions to buy the property, but they don't do the research, they don't do the homework, they don't look what's behind the property, which means that you have to do the analysis, you have to look at the numbers to make sure it makes sense, in which it's a sensible investment to buy, right? You have to ask yourself, does the property provide positive cash flow? Does it allow you to create multiple other sources of income on the property? For example, can you put a laundry in the building to create laundry income from that? Can you use the garage as a storage space to rent storage space to people who cannot afford buying or renting a storage space outside of that at a local rental storage company, which is expensive at times? Can you provide technology services such as cable, internet, telephone to your tenants, in which they'll pay a premium, in which you make money from that? And as well, is it located in an area where there's a lot of jobs? The people are moving in, this big population, and if there's a lot of amenities such as shopping, public transit, in which tenants are willing to pay more money, more rent, living in your rental property than going elsewhere. So these are a lot of factors you have to look into.
Would that sometimes drive the price of the property up?
Yes, it depends on the neighborhood that you're in. That's the important thing, right? And also, you have to, as an investor, you need to. One of the things I talk to my investor clients is that, what is your monthly cash flow goal? Okay, So how much money do you want to make per month? After the mortgage, the property taxes, all the expenses paid by the tenants are paid. How much money do you want in your pocket per month? Once I get that idea, then I do some calculations and determine how much money, what price you can afford to buying a house. Okay. So in terms of the neighborhood, it depends on the neighborhood in terms of prices. You need to have a budget in mind in terms of also how much the bank is willing to give you money for to help you buy an investment property. If you're giving you less money, then you have to look for a property that is at a lower price than a higher price, right?
How about investing back into the property? How does that work to keep the value of the property up?
Okay. The way the value of the property increases is based on several factors. It's based on how much other properties are being sold in that neighborhood. It's based on the amount of amenities in that neighborhood, whether that neighborhood has public transit, grocery stores, restaurants that are popular for tenants to go to. Also, it depends on what improvements you made to the property. Did you put in a new roof? Did you upgrade the bathrooms, the bedrooms? Did you upgrade the basement? Did you replace the windows? These are important factors that increases the value of the property, and also how long you kept the property for, and also inflation factors in as well to increase the value appreciation of the property over time.
As an investor, if I buy a property, say for using some small numbers, $5, and after all these investment and all these upgrade of the building, and I can sell it for $25, what advice would you give to that owner of that property concerning the difference in buying and selling?
Okay, first, it depends on the person's goals. What are their goals? And what strategy do you want to do? Do they want to buy and hold a property for 5 to 7 years? Do they want to hold a property for 3 years and sell and make it a rent to own to give to somebody, a tenant buyer? Or if they want to, if they have a goal of selling the property in a certain period of time just to make money, just to pay off debt or for retirement, it depends on the goals of the individual. That's the important thing. Okay.
Micheal, yeah, I just got a question that came in from someone. They want to know, like, what if they invest or go for a rent to own, and let's say the term was 3 years and they can't meet the requirements at 3 years? What happens then? Okay.
So unfortunately, the tenant buyer will lose their deposit, potentially lose the deposit. They won't get much of that deposit back. And they also lose the opportunity of buying the house. And also they have to look for another place, unfortunately. So the rent-to-own program that you choose, you have to choose it based on their reputation, based on the fact of how they're going to allow you to have the affordability to buying a house. They need to come up with a plan. They will assess you based on your finances, how much you can afford in terms of buying a house from when you rent it. That's the important thing, right? They'll look at the numbers to see realistically how much you can afford in buying a house when you're renting that house.
But let's say they have all the requirements for how much they could afford. Let's say they could afford it.
Right.
They were doing it for getting their credit up to that level where the HCMHC will approve.
Yes.
What happens there if they don't meet that? Is it the same thing, or?
It's the same thing. They'll lose the initial down payment or deposit that they made to as a consideration for them saying that, okay, we're interested in buying the house. They'll lose most of the deposit. And yeah, and also when it depends on the program, some rent-to-own programs have a credit option or a credit option on top of the rent, where that money that you paid each month on top of your rent is part of your down payment. So you pay less mortgage, you pay less mortgage payments and less interest. That money's gone too, pretty much, because it goes to the investor or the landlord that's renting the house to giving you the option to buy it.
Okay, so does your program allow someone to, let's say, or do you monitor their credit as the process is going on, like year by year? Or?
The company that I'm working with, the company I'm in partnership with a company.
Right.
They I think that's part of their service, because I'm just responsible for the real estate side of things.
Right.
Then I pass them to that person. All I deal with is helping find the property they can afford. They'll tell me the numbers, and I'll tell them which property they can afford to buy. Yeah, it's that company might provide that type of service, possibly. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for clearing up that part of it.
Right.
How does the future look in the Ottawa region for new home buyers?
For first-time home buyers?
The first-time home buyers, sorry.
Unfortunately, to be honest with you, realistically, if you're looking to buy a house within Ottawa city limits as a first-time home buyer, it's going to be very expensive, depending on your budget. But there's opportunities in the semi-rural and rural areas of Ottawa where you have opportunities to enter the housing market, which is much cheaper. The downside of that is the commuting time. It depends where you work. If you're working downtown, it's going to be a long commuting. It's going to be a long commute. But if you're working from home, that's a benefit, right? So you don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but and unfortunately, it's going to get worse, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's all about affordability. It depends. It depends. Like I know for a fact that the Ontario government, what I've heard is that they're creating a task force that's going to look into the housing affordability issues, especially for first-time home buyers. So they're gathering housing experts, realtors like myself, government leaders to sit down and have a discussion about how to create a strategy to encourage developers and builders to build affordable housing units for first-time home buyers to buy them. Also, they're considering another thing they might be considering. The Ontario government, possibly in cooperation with the federal government, is creating rental-owned housing as well, possibly. It's part of the election platform from some of the political parties at the federal level. We'll see.
Yeah, and you also said that in your blog that the Bank of Canada, they might potentially raise interest rate within the next quarter or something like that, right?
Yeah, the latest I've heard so far, they said that there might be increase in the interest rates on January, I think it's 26 or 27. That's what I heard. The latest news I've been reading. I just read it a couple of days ago. I found out a couple of days ago online.
And so what advice do you give to people who are planning to buy a house like in the next 3 months?
Go to your local bank or mortgage broker professional and get pre-approved as soon as possible to secure that low rate, if you can. If you want to contact me to refer you to a mortgage broker, feel free to contact me. I can refer you to a good person to help you out.
Right, and like for the folks who are listening who were interested, we're gonna give Micheal a chance to give his contact info, and because already I'm learning a lot from you, and I really appreciate this session. So, what if let's say, like, I'll give a scenario, like, so I want to buy an investment property with someone else.
Right.
I don't have the people exposed at my exposure at this time. Do you, like, with your network, are you able to find somebody who can match up with me to do something like that?
Yeah, it's possible. There's another strategy that successful real estate investors do to help people in your situation, and that's called it's a terminology calling using other people's money. So through your mortgage broker or through a friend, you can ask them saying that, look, I'm interested in buying this investment property. Here's my plan in terms of what I'm going to do to the property. I was wondering if you're willing to give me some money to help me finance the purchase of this property. So that private lender or private bank will lend you that money, okay? You use that money as a down payment to buy the investment property. That money that the lender is lending to you is secured against the property that you have purchased, right? You have to pay back not only the principal, not only you have to pay the amount of money that the person gave to you or a friend gave to you. You have to also pay them interest.
Right.
Right. On the top of that, the interest that you pay back to the lender, okay, it's tax deductible because you're investing in an asset that's producing income.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Right.
So.
Right. So, yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah. But you need to consult with your accountant to see if that makes sense for you, right? Or talk to your financial advisor to see if that makes sense for you, because they know your financial history or your tax situation, stuff like that. I suggest consulting with a financial advisor, especially someone who has experience, especially someone who's also a real estate investor, because they know the game, right? They know, especially an accountant who is a real estate investor themselves, they have experience, a financial planner, especially who has a CFP designation, a certified financial planner designation, who knows about how the financial management system works. So that's something you need to do.
So is that what people generally term as when they say you can buy property without using any of your own money?
Yep, you use other people's money.
Wow.
You know the example I told you about the vendor take back?
Yes.
That's an example of private money, right? You're using the seller's money, which that seller is lending you that money to help you buy an asset, which is going to generate more income for you and more opportunity to build wealth on it, which will outweigh the cost of paying the loan back and plus the interest back. Is going to outweigh that because that asset is going to appreciate in value over time.
True.
If you hold it. Okay.
Refinancing is one of the things that kind of beat me when it comes to real estate and other business. Under what circumstances do we ask the bank or ask our lender to refinance our loan? Okay.
In that situation, it depends on your personal circumstances. If you don't have savings, if you need let's say you have some unexpected expenses, okay, a car accident or not car accident, but something that in which insurance won't cover it, or you have a substantial amount of debt that needs to be paid off, you can ask the bank to either consolidate your debt, in which they will refinance your house and consolidate your outstanding debt into the house, into your home, into your mortgage, in which you can pay at a lower interest rate than what you're paying right now, at a higher interest rate. That's what I have done. Okay. Also, if you want to invest in real estate, you can refinance your current house, use that money, and invest in real estate. That's how I started as well. Also, you can use that money, you can use refinancing if you want to invest in your child's college fund or education, or invest in their registered education savings plan, right? That's an example where you can refinance.
Yeah, this is good information. Before we go, we got to wrap up just now. I've been getting a lot of requests, but I don't want to go into all those right now. But my phone has really been blowing up about this education. So one thing I'm going to ask you to do for me, send me some information about what you're doing. I will make a jingle similar to one that we made for this program.
Right.
So that a lot of people we can put it on Facebook. But a lot of people can go there, they can contact you for certain things. Because I think you need that push.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
We'll do that for you.
All right.
You just send me some information, and we're gonna put a jingle out so that people can contact you when situation like this arise.
No problem. We'll talk offline in terms of the content that you want me to provide you, and then we go from there.
Yeah, but in the meantime, just give people some information on how they can reach you.
Okay, you can reach me on by phone 613-890-7653, or you can contact me at micheal@michealbarthur.com, or you can contact me on Instagram at Mike the Agent, MikeTheAgent613 on either on Twitter or Instagram.
Moulton.
Micheal, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, meeting you, virtually, of course. I do appreciate every single word that you said. I'm a little bit more educated or smarter in that sense.
Right.
I might have to use your services as well, because it's very strange, some of the things that we can that are out there for us, and we don't use those resources, and then we wonder how other people are rich. So my brother, thanks again for locking in. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. And like
Right.
Cippy said, it's not going to be the first time on the program. We definitely will have you back.
Definitely. I'll be glad
Again.
to help you guys and help the community become educated, to become financially independent, to make wise financial decisions for themselves and the benefit of their family. Yeah, it's important. Education, think of it this way. Without education, there's no progress, okay? Education provides you the path towards success, towards opportunities, towards possibilities to achieve the goals that you want to achieve and to have the lifestyle that you want. We need to get educated. You need to, as a people, as a community, we need to educate ourselves about how the system works, and not allow the system to work against us, but to benefit us, for us to win, not lose. That's the important thing.
Sure.
Once again, Micheal, thank you. And I'm going to call you in about 10 to 15 minutes. And
All
then
right.
we can talk about what we're going to do to help you, elevate yourself and also help the community, because I think there's a lot of information that you have can help our community.
Definitely.
But as we say earlier on, our people sometimes don't seem like they want to take these grounds. They want to go somewhere else. So that's why I want to push this thing on Facebook, so that people can know, well, okay, from our community, they know that there's somebody who they can reach out to in the time of need, and that would be Micheal B. Arthur. So once again, thank you a lot, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
You too, sir. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it, and stay well.